Hi. So this week, instead of an interview, I have been asked by a few people to talk about mindset. Now, when I started in property, if you'd started to speak to me about mindset, I can tell you honestly from my heart, I thought, I don't want to know about that stuff. I just want to know about property. And that was really interesting because today I can tell you that I would say that property is 90% about mindset and it is 10% about property. The property is fairly easy once you get to know how to do your property. You just rinse and repeat, and it's fun. You know, I really do like property. I like the objections and overcoming. But the reason that the mindset is so important, I keep going back to Jim Rohn, what he said. He said a very interesting thing. He said, until you learn to love failure, you'll never truly be successful. That's a tough one, isn't it? It really is. So imagine, it means we've got to learn to fail and almost enjoy it. Well, let me recommend a book before we really get going, and that is Go for No, Richard Fenton. I really like that book. It's a small book, highly recommend it, especially on a property journey. But look, the truth about mindset is the strength of someone's mind can change where you go and what you can achieve. Now, before we really get too much, I won't keep this video too long. I mean, I can do a small series of them, you know, perhaps 10, 15 minutes, no more, because otherwise you're going to go to sleep. But when my wife, she was diagnosed with cancer, the consultant, and of course we're never going to forget that day, when we went to see the consultant, he said, Marie, you're cancer this, Marie, you're cancer that. And I said, whoa, stop. And he said, I beg your pardon. And I said, no, look, it's cancer, we agree. But it's not Marie's, it's not staying there, it has no right on her body, and it's going. Now Marie turned to me, she put her hand on my arm, she said, thank you, Trevor, that's really helped me focus. So can you see how, you know, having the right focus can really, really change things. Now, obviously, we mixed our mindset with some faith. We have a strong Christian faith, but I've seen people do this without a faith. You know, it doesn't really matter for me. It was great. It just dovetailed so well, and it was very, very powerful for us. And we saw a huge change. And my wife is nearly 5 years clear of cancer now, so you know that's really good. However, what was really interesting was that without having a strong mind and learning how to control my mind, I don't think we would ever have been there. And it's interesting because the people around us often speak negative things throughout our lives when we're growing up as children. And if we allow them to speak those things, sometimes we can even agree with them by not stopping them, and just by a silence we can actually stand in agreement, and then it comes in and it can change our performance. So it's a very powerful thing. I was never always like this, I can tell you, but it's something which is massive in the way that I can keep negotiating, I can keep failing and fail my way to success. Sir Winston Churchill said that every failure is just another step to success. I really like it. I love my quotes, as you'll know, as I keep going. But look, let's just have a look at a couple more people. Roger Bannister, he ran the mile in less than 4 minutes, in a time when the doctors said, if you run faster than the 4 minutes, your heart will explode. The human heart is not built to take it, and it will explode. So not many people know that. So imagine this is a man who's pushing himself to new limits and going beyond to probably a physical detriment. But he trained and he did it. But what happened within 12 months? Another dozen athletes broke the 4 minute mile. It's funny, it's nothing to do with the athleticism, it was all to do with the mind. I really liked Thomas Edison when he was designing the light bulb. And the reporter famously went and said, how many experiments to get the light bulb? And he said, 1,000 experiments. And the reporter said, what's it like to fail 1,000 times? He said, I never failed once. He said it was 1,000 steps to get there. So, very, very powerful. I just had a guy on Someone Leads Academy who I've done a little bit of mentorship with, Ricky, and he wanted the rent-to-service accommodation strategy. He went and spoke to 161 agents before he got his first one. What a great mind that is. He learned that no's is a very powerful thing. Now, I know that I spoke to him about that and I was really excited. I said, you need to love those no's. However, you must learn something from every no. And let's face it, no's are there not to block us, because, look, a no is temporary. And let's face it, if we really believed that no was no, we wouldn't have any children in this world at all. Let's face it, all right? And I know some of you just got that now. So, it's funny, when we're children growing up, and we just will not accept what people say, no, can I have it, can I have it, can I have it? And then when we grow up, we go into one estate agent or one letting agent, we pitch and they say, no, not interested. We walk out and we blank that agent again, instead of allowing our mind to say, look, okay, maybe it was a bad day for that person. Let me give them a chance. What a challenge. What a challenge to go in and overcome and go back and say, look, I know you said no, but can I ask you why? And they say why. Really, really interesting. And very, very powerful. So look for the no's, but learn from them. That is so, so important. There are, many other people who are very famous. What's his name? Malcolm Gladwell. He says you won't be an expert in something until you've done it 10,000 times. That was interesting to me. You see, I see that slightly different. 10,000 no's, and I'm going to be an expert in negotiating. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't get 10,000 no's to get a deal, but I know that if I focus on getting 10,000 no's, how many deals will I do? So maybe when I started, I got 1 to every 100 viewings. Then it came down to 1 every 40, then 1 every 20, then 1 every 5, and now perhaps less than that. So where can I go? So if I'm doing 10,000 no's, can you imagine how much more I can do? Where's your focus? So look, this won't be hugely long, but I will start. I've got 12 points, but I think for the sake of this video, I think what I'll do is I'll probably do about 3 sets of 4, probably something like that. So let's call this mindset 1, okay? Look, the first thing to do is to change something in your life. Whatever causes you and robs your time, then you need to take it away. So I can tell you that very much the talk that I based this teaching on came out of an hour session that Rob Moore did many years ago, many years ago, 10 years ago. And I sat there and I wrote it down. And I came back to my wife and I said, Marie, look at this. Look at these 12 points. They were my own notes, but that's what I took from that session. And it changed our lives. I sat down, we wrote out our goals very clearly, and I said, look, here it is. Here it is. And it was massive. So some of these points come from that very talk. But what was clear, that something has to give. Now, I think we all love television. Now, unfortunately, we can get television on our phones, we can get them anywhere now. But just over 10 years ago, it wasn't so easy. And I came home and I said to my wife, I said, listen, I want to do this seriously. And I also know we've got to give something up. So what about if we give the TV up? We thought about it, we talked about it, and we got rid of the television for 2.5 years. It was fantastic. It meant that we could get on. I was reading, I was going out, viewing more properties, I was negotiating more, I was learning my craft, I was talking to more people, more networking. That payment of time, maybe a short payment of pain, but it didn't last long, I can tell you, because when we get the board games out, you actually have a much better life, a quality of life, than allowing someone to suck that life out of you every single night with a television. So look, don't get me wrong, it's nice to be entertained and there's a time for television, but if you want to change your life through property, this is really, really important. So number 1 on the list, get up early. Now, 10 years ago, I couldn't. I had a friend who used to get up every morning, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, something like that. 6 o'clock was a lie-in. I can't do that anymore. I can't, I can't lie in anymore. So I'm always awake. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake. Now, I don't always get up, but I'll always read something. I'll always listen to something that will edify me, that will educate my mind, that will give me knowledge. So my golden rule is to read something positive, 10 pages every single day. And I'm not a natural reader, so there's some people watching this saying, well, I read a book in a week. That's great, and continue reading those books. There might be thrillers, there might be educational stuff, whatever, but go something else. I mean, if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's a must. It changed my life and many other people's lives. If you haven't read or listened to The Compound Effect, that was massive in my life. Really, really massive, how it made such a change in who I am. But that's really important, and you need to commit to it. And so as much as I'd love you to commit for 12 months, that might be difficult, but commit for 21 days or 31 days. Do for 1 month. Every day. Do it in the morning though. Get up. Read. Go in the bathroom, lock the door, sit down and read your 10 pages and take it in. So, I've been reading some stuff from James Caan recently, and I got stuck on 5 pages in a particular chapter that he wrote. And I've read those 5 pages about 10 times because there's something in there which is absolutely dynamite in the mindset, in the way that it can show you how to grow your business, how to negotiate, how to win people over. And I think it's incredibly powerful. And so they're the sort of things that I love to get hold of. So, I won't spend too much reading stuff that I feel like is not giving me something that is going to increase my value, my knowledge, etc., so I can help other people. But it's really, really crucial that you can do something like that. 2 is read something positive every single day, 10 pages. The third one, have an attitude of gratitude. This is massive, all right, and I think this will probably be my last one because I don't want this going on too long. But an attitude of gratitude is one of the most powerful things. And it's interesting, my daughter, who's 12 now, she says, Daddy, you do scare me sometimes. And I said, why that? She said, Dad, you're always happy. And it's interesting, when she said that, she probably said it 6 months ago, something like that. I've really tried to think of it. I am a happy person. I don't get down often. I never lose my temper. Maybe once in every 2 or 3 years, but I don't lose my temper ever. I'm a very calm person. But I think that comes out of being thankful for so many things. And I can tell you, a very good friend of mine many years ago, pastor of a church, I asked him in the church, in the Bible, in 1 Thessalonians 5, chapter 18, it says, 1:5, chapter 18, it says, in all things give thanks. And I said, how on earth can anyone write that? And this is scripture. How could that be written there? Isn't that rubbish? How can you give thanks if you break your leg? And what he said to me is very simple. But when someone says something and it drops and it hits you and you think, wow. Well, he said, well, at least you be thankful for not breaking both legs. And I know that's simple. I know it is. But we moan too much. We do. We moan about the traffic. We moan about being late. We moan about the price of something going up. If we can be a vessel of happiness, of joy, bringing life and bringing laughter into other people, I think that's incredibly powerful. Personally, I do. But what's amazing with it is when your hands are open to give, your actual hands are open to receive. Now, I don't know the physiology, but I know that, if you have a hug or something, you release these endorphins. But that's what I have a sense of as I try to love people and thankful for anything and everything. And I think where I'm trying to go with this is look for the opportunity to be thankful. Okay? Look for that opportunity. So, stop looking, just me. Think outside. This is an incredible opportunity to be able to put something out that I hope will help other people. I can be really thankful for that. Why? Because people have invested in me. Another quote, Sir Isaac Newton, big statue of him down at the British Library in London. But he says, I can see further because I stand on the shoulders of the giants who went before me. And listen, but this is not a 100-meter race. Our lives, they're not. Our life is a relay race. And we carry a baton. And I've done a lot of intergenerational work when I was doing community work with the young people and old people. And I had an incredible time. And I love that. That was my most passionate thing about bringing the two ages together and allowing them to speak to each other. And the respect that came was incredible. It's just we have nothing that really brings them together. But the transfer of knowledge is incredible on both sides. The young people were doing techno stuff, and so some of the young people took their laptop to elderly couple, went up on Skype, and these older couple could speak to their children and grandchildren in Australia via Skype. You see, it's a two-way street here. But it's a baton that we're passing on to other people, next generation. And I think that's a privilege. So, if we could find, secret, the pursuit of happiness, even though it's in the Constitution of America, I believe, the pursuit of happiness. Well, I have no doubt that for me, thankfulness and gratefulness is very, very important. And one of the hardest things to do is to be grateful to your wife, your husband, your children, and the people around you. Sometimes we might just say it indeed, or very short, but to actually stop and really make an effort and say thank you. I tell you, these three things, getting up early, reading 10 pages positive a day, having an attitude of gratitude, and stop moaning, very, very powerful. Listen, that's 3 of 12. I will do a series of these. All right, so I'll do this mindset one. Next week we've got I've got some more interviews. But if you like this, please just pop a note, a comment, and tell me what your thoughts are. And because if you don't like it, I won't continue. But the mindset for me is massive. Listen, I want to wish you all the best in your journey, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Thank you so much again for watching this video. I hope you got a lot of information and it's helped you on your journey. If you have liked it, please like, subscribe and share to help other people. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.